In this video, we're going to show how to tune up the VZ chassis. This is one of 3 parts, so if you'd like to see more of these, subscribe, and we'll get part 2 and 3 out soon. Thanks. VZ chassis to the max. I don't know about the max, but we're gonna try and give it a little facelift, a little bit of an upgrade, see what we can do. So if you like these videos, or you want to see more videos on these mini 4-wheel drive cars, please like and subscribe. Okay, so let's see what we're working with. So because this is the 2025 Japan Cup, I figured we'd do the Japan Cup plates. I got those for the front and the back. I got some carbon reinforcing plates, cap screws. I'm thinking about probably doing 17 millimeter. Double stack those. We got hollow. We got the fluorine. We got some steel reinforced shafts, and I was debating using these 13 to 12, but I feel like the chassis is so skinny as it is, and with this plate it just might be a little bit too narrow, so I'm going to try it out with the 17 instead. And then we also have the stabilizers as well, and the rest of them I'll actually split this into 2 videos. So the first one will be the front and like the shafts and stuff like that, and then after that we will do the back end. So to start out, we can just take off these. There's no grease or anything on them, so I don't have to worry about wiping them down before I put them away, and they'll probably never see the light of day again. While we're here, we can just take off the back as well, because we won't be needing that. And I actually don't even know if we'll need that, but we'll see. Because that is screwed into the under part, but we definitely don't need this part. So we got the bearing here, so I guess we could just start with the motor. So pop this out. And that's not working very well. There we go. So pop that out. You can pop this out too. And free up the gears and the motor. Okay, we got these out, this out. I don't know if we actually need to replace the tires. And I feel like we don't need bearings. Yeah, I think these are pretty solid as it is, so we'll keep those like that for the time being. So I'm not going to use the reinforced ones just quite yet for the axles, but we can swap this out. So get this one, the hollow propeller shaft. Yeah, so scratch that. We're actually going to replace these. I don't want them to bend. Okay, shafts are out, so we're going to put on these reinforced shafts. And actually we'll probably want to grease these up. We'll get that lubed up. That's a lot of grease. You probably don't need that much. If I could see. There we go. Hopefully that pink one will catch in there. Boom. Give it a little swivel. We can put grease over here. And just kind of get it in and out. I don't want to get too much on the end. You can just wipe away the excess. And then put that back on. That seems a little too easy. So let's see what it looks like. In there, everything's intact. And those just popped out. But that's not a big deal. Okay, not. That is also the wrong tire. Okay, not terrible, but also not perfect. So not the best start to this one. So let's get the gear back in here. And the one in here. We can put that back through. Give it a little grease loving. Hopefully not as much as on the last side. Big glob, like I said I wasn't gonna do. Okay. Then we can put the tires back on. This is much more difficult when there's a camera in front of your face. There we go. So we'll see how those are spinning. Again, not perfect. It might be the bearings though, and not actually the wheels themselves. So we'll see if it does come down to it. We'll put some bearings in the wheels, which shouldn't be too difficult once everything's put together. Okay. And next up, we're gonna swap out this with, where is it? With this fluorine coated gear shaft. Comes with two. Okay, so we got the gear. Set that down. See if we can zoom in. All right, we got the gear. We got the washer for the bearing and the bearing, and then two washers just in case it doesn't sit super nice on there. So I think what we'll do is put the washer bearing in here, and the bearing washer, and the washer itself. I think we'll use the tweezers. Hopefully make it a little bit easier. Or we can do the tried and true method of just plopping it down on top. If it would stay on top of there. Oh my god. Guess not. Okay. Well, hopefully this goes in smoothly. And there we go, it does. All right, so we got the washer and then the bearing. So this was cleaned recently. We can just add a little bit of this lubricant oil for the bearing. So if you didn't know, you could use whatever to clean it, but one thing that does work that I learned back in my skateboarding days was lighter fluid. Actually works to clean bearings quite well. Okay, so we got that ready. Next up we have the propeller. So we get that in there. I've seen people cut this at like an angle to help it run better, but we're not actually going to do that on this one. So we'll get this open. And a little bit of grease about there. Alright, we can grease this up too. Alright. There we go, put the hollow in. And we can put that back in there. Right position. Snap. And make sure everything's running smoothly. Looks good to me. Alright. So next up what we're going to want to do is, we would normally do would be put the motor in. For now, we'll just keep this motor. Put that down. And then we'll get the little shield on the motor. Like that. Okay, that looks pretty good as is. So, you want to lube up your shaft. And because of that, I can't grab it. And I wish it didn't fall in there, because I didn't want it to get dirty. And get that in the little hole. And stick that on there. And that doesn't want to go in. There's a reason why I usually cut these parts, so it looks like I'm good at it when I'm actually not. And so we can see here, there's a little bit of wiggle room. What I was thinking of doing was either getting another roller bearing on there, or maybe a washer. I think a bearing might be too thick, so we can try a little washer. I don't know if this is like correct in any way, but I hope so. I know that we want to have it nice and tight in there though. I don't know if this is the correct solution. I don't think it'll damage it or anything. There we go. So now that sits there. And much less wiggle room. So I don't want it to sit flush. Okay, that's in there pretty nice and tight. So hopefully that's the right call. If not, I'm sure someone will let me know. All right. So we'll get this down. There we go. So hopefully that runs a little bit smoother with the bearing in there. But these wheels are still kind of tripping me out. Okay, let's move on to the next part. Actually, I'm just gonna throw a motor in there. We've got a Hyper Dash 3.2 for a Japan Cup, so it'll be the most fitting, I suppose. Okay, so we got the white one out. I got this one with the purple on it. What we should do now that everything else is out, even though I don't have gold ones, we're gonna take and put a little padding behind the battery points. So what I'll usually do is just take a little bit of this, about that much. Where'd that go? Then we'll cut that in half. I've seen people use the plastic tubing as well. For the most part, you can just slide it in behind it. If you have to, you can pull it up a tiny bit and then slip it in and then push it back down. And to adjust, you can always use tweezers. I've seen, for me personally, I've just always used these. These come with the bearings. So the bearings come inside of those. I'm gonna have to move that one up a little bit too. And get that nice and tight in there. Way up. A little bit down. There we go. And then just kind of bend it, push it back down. And that should help with the battery, connecting it a little cleaner. So it looks like that. It's a nice little hack. I don't know what else you would use this for. So it's just like a free piece, I guess. And then we'll put the battery on. Boom, like so. Slip the battery back in. And then we'll put the rest of this back together. There we go. And then we got the washer. Again, not 100% sure it's the best move, but it seems like it'll work. Logically, it should. Just gotta make sure it stays on while trying to slip it in this little hole. And there we go. Boom. Don't move. Don't move. Put you back in your house. There we go. Perfect. And that looks good to me. To me is the key part to that. If it's actually good or not, we'll find out. Okay. And since this is open, we can just screw this down. To give it a little bit more of a solid lock with the screwdriver. Hopefully there's magnetic stay to it. There we go. And you just screw that bad boy in. Very nice. Okay, so I went to the store, decided to pivot a little bit on this one. What we're gonna do is put some bearings in where the wheel shaft is. Hopefully that will get that tiny little bit out so we don't actually have to pierce the wheel, which could be annoying. But other than that, here we're gonna clip this a little bit. So we gotta take this back off. Okay, so we got the motor out and the shaft and all that stuff out. These are all the parts up here. So here we're going to, on this part, clip this little top like that, about 45 degrees or something around there. Doesn't have to be exact. Got that one. Alright, so should look about like that. It's not perfect, but it's better than it was. We'll just drop that back in. Make sure everything's spinning right. Get that snap back down. Okay, and now that that's good, yeah, it's perfect. Maybe not perfect, but it's good. Okay, now we're going to put the bearings into the wheel shaft. So we got the palms out, and we're going to put these with spacers in between here, so that hopefully will let the wheels spin a little better. Alright, so we got the spacers. Let's get these out. And this blue part, if you saw in the last one, this is the same thing, it's just for different bearings. So I would keep this, and then you can just cut these little pieces off and put them here behind the motor for the batteries to connect. Okay, so we can just pop them in like so, and then we'll put a bearing spacer on the outside here like this when we put the wheel on. But first what we're going to want to do is get some lube on it. So here's the lubricant. So when you wash them, after you wash them, you're going to want to put a little bit of lubricant on them after you dry them out. And then we'll do that for all four sides. Okay, so now they're all in there, lubed up. If you can't get them in right away, what you can do is just take like an old shaft. This is an easy way, and just kind of like twist it out, because they don't always go in smoothly and flush. So we get a spacer. Just gotta make sure it's on the right side. Okay. And we'll get a little bit of oil, grease on there. Poke that through. Hopefully it comes out this side no problem. Just gotta find out where it is. There it is. So you can paint up that too and kind of rub it through. There we go. That sounds great. And then the other one of these didn't stick to me. It's probably an easier way of showing it. If we can get that in focus. There we go. So just make sure that little nipple part on the top is facing inwards towards the bearing. and the smooth part is on the outside. Like so. And then make sure you have the right wheel. Put that on. Boom. Okay, very nice. That's a good fit too. So we're gonna do the same on the back. All right, so with the gears in place, it's all good. We'll put it back together. All right, now we're back all together. Just get this last screw down. And everything should be good. We'll just smooth out the tires too a little bit, because they do still have those little nubs on them, as you can see right there. Those will gradually just go away anyways, but I guess it's better if you do it now than later. So yeah, there we go. There we have it. So everything that we did, main things, new shafts. We get the reinforced ones because this is a pretty, not flimsy, but it does give a little twist. We got bearings for the hex bearings for the wheels. What else do we have? We got the little pads behind the connectors. Got a new motor. We got a bearing in the gear shaft with the washer. So yeah, that should be good for the chassis. And in the next video, we will do the front, and then in the next one we'll do the back. And we'll see how that goes. So everybody, thanks for watching. Subscribe and stay tuned for part 2.